Hi, I'm Michelle Elizabeth and I work with the Enlightenment Project, but also in my own business at www.michelleelizabeth.co.uk, and I'm going to talk to you today about being an empath. Now, contrary to what a lot of people believe, a lot of people think that you are born with the gifts of being an empath, and it's not something that you can learn. You're either an empath or you aren't. Whereas I believe that we're all empaths. It's all another skill or sense that we have. We just haven't been using it for some time, or none of us have used it at all. And we don't have the kind of skill set to start uncovering our own empath skills. Some people are born very sensitive and already have an awareness of their empathic abilities, but we all have this ability within us. It is all just another sense that we have. And just like when I speak to you about being able to see into the future, being able to heal, all of these things, we all have these skills. They are innate abilities within us. It's just that we have layers and layers and layers of conditioning, expectations that tell us this is what we can do, this is what's normal, this is what's highly regarded, this is what's mainstream. So we can all have empathy. That is something that is pretty much recognised amongst general population, that we can all be, we can all have empathy or have empathetic feelings or attitudes towards other people. And what that means is that if somebody's going through a hard time, you know, we can I can't think of the word now, but if someone's having a hard time, we can sort of associate with that, and we can say we know where you're coming from, we can feel your pain because we have been there. It's kind of a little bit more than just being sympathetic towards somebody. And we tend to think of empaths as being a slightly different breed, maybe slightly different people to who we are. But this isn't actually true. So we all have these empathic skills within us, and our main job is to be able to break down all of the conditioning, to be able to then bring all of these skills, all of these extra senses to the fore. And it's exactly the same with our healing abilities, exactly the same with our prophecy abilities, our seeing abilities, our knowing abilities. We all have all of this. It is all innate within us, just as you know, just as another sense, just like we can touch, we can smell, we can hear, we can feel. Okay, so we are all empaths. It is just a matter of how much our awareness we have brought into this, how much we're aware of what we're sensing and feeling are actually empathic skills. Because a lot of the time we're feeling what other people are feeling, but we just put it down to sort of just an imbalance in us. And it isn't. It's an amazing skill that we're kind of overlooking a little bit, and would really, really help us in our daily lives. So whether you are aware of being an empath or not, all depends on sort of how attuned you are with your own body, with your own feelings, with your own emotions, and how aware you are in each moment. Okay, and this is the thing that one of the biggest keys of being on our spiritual path is being consciously aware in each moment, of living consciously, of widening our conscious awareness. I mean, the path to enlightenment or the path to ascension is all about widening our conscious awareness. So what you can learn with your empath skills is very much tied in with absolutely everything else, and it's very much tied into your spiritual path, because it's all about widening your conscious awareness, bringing yourself into conscious being and conscious living in every single moment, being aware of yourself, being aware of other people, being aware of your place, you know, where you're fitting in this sort of flow of energy that we navigate every single day. So I know a lot of people are aware of their empathic skills and they struggle with them, as I struggled when I first had mine, when I started being aware of mine. So it is something that we struggle with, but it is also something that you learn and adapt, and you know, you can then use your skills as a great gift, a great asset, as another sense. You don't need, it doesn't need to be a burden. And I know a lot of people who do have empath skills and they don't develop them and they don't bring their awareness to them. They find it as a really difficult cross to bear, because when you first start being very aware of these skills and these emotions and feelings, it's very difficult and it can be quite painful. So it is something where it's getting your head around the fact that the way that you're feeling now with your empath skills is not the way it's always going to be. And I think sometimes, you know, the TV does us a great disservice, because sometimes we see these empaths as real tortured souls, you know, that they have to go through this, that they feel the emotions of the world and it's tortured. But this isn't actually the case. This is just how you're going to feel initially. And then, as with everything, you develop it, you learn about it, you know, and you continue to grow. So it's a bit like, I mean, the great analogy I thought of, because we have to remember that these empathic skills are a sense, okay? It's just another sense within us. So it's like how we see, how we hear, how we touch, how we feel. And everything else is just another sense. It's an intrinsic part of us, okay? So all you're learning to do is bring it into your awareness and to develop it, to learn about it. Now, we do this with all of our senses. However, we're babies when we do this, so we're not fully aware of the process that we're going through. But, I mean, you can have a look at these things and you can Google these things about people who have been given sight for the first time in their adult life. Not people who have lost their sight, but people who were born without sight and then have their sight or their hearing restored to them. Now, you would think initially that suddenly there's someone can see or suddenly someone can hear, and it's amazing for them. You know, they can suddenly see things that they've never seen before, hear things that they've never heard before. However, when they initially get their sight restored, it's incredibly confusing for them. A lot of them fall into depression and sometimes wish that they could go back to not having sight, because they don't suddenly open their eyes and see what we see. They see a confusion of colours and shapes and, you know, different textures and shadows, and they don't understand it. The brain can't interpret it. And it just seems much more confusing than it did before when they didn't have their sight. And it's almost as if they feel initially that they've lost some of the richness to their world, because they understood their world in the way of having no sight, and then all of a sudden having this confusing, all this confusing data that is coming into their brain, is very, very difficult for them and can be quite painful, because they have to start to learn to distinguish different colours, different shapes. You know, if they look at, you know, maybe if they look at a road, so they're in a car and you've got a road that has trees all down the side, and then there's some lampposts, and then there's a house, and then there's a brick wall and things like that. They don't see these things as separate and different. They see them as just one big mass picture of different shapes, contrasts, shadows and things like that. And this is very, very similar to what you're going through as an empath. Okay, so you're getting all of this data, all of this information coming in, and you're feeling it. Okay, so you're feeling when somebody is happy, when somebody is stressed, when somebody is anxious, but you don't know what to do with it. You don't know you don't know how to interpret it. Your brain and your awareness has not developed to the extent or had enough practice to be able to sit here and think, okay, that's my auntie's energy, or that is the person's energy who sat next to me, or this energy I'm feeling here is just floating into me. It's just general energy. You know, we haven't, or most people haven't developed or practiced or learned with their empath skills, because what we tend to do with energy and emotion, and we're going to mainly talk about emotion, although being an empath doesn't just restrict you to being able to pick up on emotions, you pick up on all sorts of things, and you can pick up on physical pain. You know, if somebody's undergoing an operation, or if somebody's having an issue, you can actually feel that as well. But the thing is, because we're very much about us being isolated individuals, we're very much about in this duality that we live in. So we see ourselves as distinct and isolated individuals, and we see an outside, you know, things that happen in the outside world, and then we have our kind of inner world. But the inner world most people relate to is not one about our inner journey. It's more about just sort of the thoughts and emotions and physical sensations that are contained within our body. So when we feel and we sense things, we automatically assume it belongs to us. We automatically own it as ours. Okay, and this causes a huge amount of problems for empaths and for people who are developing empathic senses. Because the problem is we have all these emotions, all these feelings, all these, you know, sensations all swirling around, and we instantly own them. We don't really know what's going on. We're not fully aware. We haven't brought our conscious awareness to the fact of, oh, hang on a minute, we might be an empath here, or this might be our empath senses coming to the fore. So it can be incredibly confusing. Very much like, you know, the person who's never been able to see and can now see. So some of the problems that you start having when your senses are starting to develop is you can think that you're going crazy. You can think that you're bipolar because your emotions are up and down. Hi Sharon. Your emotions are up and down. You feel like you're running hot and cold. What is wrong with you? You know, do you have a hormonal imbalance? You will think that you are bipolar. You know, are you just really tightly wound? You know, why can I feel great one minute and terrible the next minute? Why do I sometimes feel as though I want to rip somebody's head off when I'm not an angry person or I'm not an aggressive person? So these things, these emotions and feelings and sensations, when they come into us, if we own them, if we sort of think, oh, they must be created within us, it causes a huge amount of upset for you, a huge amount of stress. You feel as though you're on a constant emotional roller coaster, that your life isn't your own, that you just feel so distressed but also exhausted. You know, having these emotions is absolutely exhausting. I'm just trying to move the camera, it just seems I seem a bit low. Yeah, it's confusing, it's stressful, it's exhausting, and it also kind of stops you living your life a little bit, because you just are so taken up with all these emotional imbalances and these emotional states which you're owning as your own, and they're not yours. They're not yours to own, they're not yours to hold on to. And basically what it is, we're just one big mass superhighway of energy streams. Energy streams coming from me, energy streams coming from you, everybody in the street. You know, we have our expectations, our hopes, our dreams, our desires, our conflicts, our drama. All of this is energy. And, you know, we are not distinct individual people. We are all flowing in and out of each other's energy all of the time. So what we need to do is, there's a couple of things that we need to do. You need to become aware that you are not an isolated individual and stop owning every single emotional state, but also thought, physical sensation that comes into your body, okay? And one of the things that I always do and that I teach people to do is when you get an emotional state come into you that might surprise you a little bit and you think, oh, why am I so upset? Is just stop, breathe and ask, is this my energy? Is this mine? Okay? Because I've wasted a lot of time processing emotional states and energy that I've thought was mine and wasn't mine. So that's why the first thing I would always do is this my energy? I mean, of course, now I'm very well practiced in this, so I don't tend to ask these things, but where you can get to, so from this point of feeling a little bit bipolar, of feeling on this emotional roller coaster, of feeling exhausted and drained and anxious and confused, I can now sit here. It's one of the reasons I can do my energy reports, but I can sit here and I can tell which of my friends are upset, which of my friends are happy, which of my friends or any of you guys might be a little bit cross with me or might be very happy with me. I can, and it kind of comes up like little flashes. And I can just feel it. So initially I'll feel something, so I might get some anxiety come through me or something like that, and then when I just sit with it, or just even, you know, it can happen in a fraction, I can pinpoint which friend this is and what is the issue. I can sense the energy of people around me. So if I'm in a doctor's surgery, I can feel, you know, who is really anxious, who's waiting for good news, who's waiting for bad news. And it's the sort of thing that I'm able to just sit there and just pump out this really lovely good energy so I can calm those around me. And it's also the thing as well, you know, we can use them as a great gift because we can know when our friends are upset, but we can also know, you know, when is the time, when they're going to be receptive to something we're going to say and when they're not. You know, when we need to reach out to somebody and when we need to stand back. You know, these are all really great things. I mean, if you don't want conflict in your life, then it's a really fabulous skill to have or sense to have, because, you know, how many times has something blown up in our face because we've just said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and had we left it a little while, had we left it a day, it would have been received very, very differently. And it's the same as well, you know, how often have we had friends who have been in distress and we had that feeling that something was off with them, but we never picked up the phone to them, or we never popped in. You know, or the times that we know somebody is poorly, we just get that feeling and we don't do anything about it because we don't trust our own senses and our own skills, because we have been brought up and conditioned to only trust our five senses. If we can see it, if we can hear it, if we can smell it, and if we can touch it, then it's real. If we just know, if we see through the eyes that are not these two in front of us, if we hear, you know, voices, which all of us do. I mean, we can always hear that, I don't know, somebody there or talking or whatever, but we shut that out, we disbelieve it. So this is the thing, if there's a lot that you need to get your mind around before you can even begin to develop this, is the fact that we're not isolated individuals. You have to be aware that not everything you feel or sense is your energy, and it can be coming from somebody else. You have to also know that this is something that you can develop. Okay, so it's like any sense, you have to learn about it, learn what is your energy. And this is one of the most important things, and I am actually going to put a meditation up at some point, which, if you're interested in it, do just send me a message and send me your email address so I can send it to you by email link. Because what I want to do is teach you, and I do this on my conscious eating course, and I do it on my processing course, but it would be really good for you to be able to just sit in your own energy and get to know what is your energy. Because once you know what is your own energy and what is your energy signature, one, you can map your progression, but also you can tell in an instant, this isn't my energy. And the minute you know it's not your energy, it's like, right, how is this helping me? How is this helping my day? You know, what am I able to give out to help the person in front of me, or who's feeling these emotions? But we have to, at the same time, also be looking at our own baggage. This is why it's so good as part of the processing course, because what this isn't is about us being a saviour. It isn't, you know, we do not have this skill so we can run and save somebody. So if we feel somebody's hurting, we mustn't just run to their rescue. I know you're hurting, because this isn't always relevant. All right, and it's like with all of the skills that we have, they're not there initially for us to be in service, for us to be the saviour, for us to be the healer or the helper or whatever. We need to get a handle on this first. We can put it out there tentatively, but you know, we need to leave our Superman pants and knickers at home just until we get a handle on, you know, what this sense is all about. Because if we let our ego get in control and we start adopting different roles, then we're actually doing a really big disservice to our friends and to ourselves. So you do have people who are attuned or who are very sensitive to this from birth. And that's what people tend to think of as natural empaths. And a lot of people think that you can't learn to be an empath, but we're all empaths. Some are just slightly more sensitive than others. And you can then, what you need to do is, it's kind of like a rediscovering. So it's kind of removing all of those layers, dissolving the conditioning, very much what I teach in the processing course. But also bringing your conscious awareness to it. So every time you have these emotions and these feelings, is kind of sitting there with them. Is this my energy? What is this energy? Where is it coming from? And you kind of need to be a little bit of an investigator. So you can sit there and you think, oh, I feel, you know, say you're sat in a doctor's surgery, or say you are, I mean, I know doctor's surgeries and dentist surgeries and things like that are quite difficult when you're first developing your skill, because there's a lot of anxious emotion there. But, you know, whenever you're with people, sit there and just breathe in. What can you feel? What can you sense? What do you feel is going on inside of you? Because remember, it's the energy once it enters into your system. So this energy is in your system. And the way I see it is it almost comes in and you get like this little taste of it. And you're like, oh, I can feel, or you might get it, oh, I suddenly feel really anxious. Is this my energy? No, it isn't. Why would I be feeling anxious? I was fine a moment ago. And then you can look around. And is there anybody around here that looks anxious? Now, this is not for you to do anything with. This is for you, you're learning. Okay? So every time you're able to go, I can see anxiety. I can see this person over here is looking really anxious. Or if you sit here and think, oh, I feel really anxious. Is this my energy? And then your friend's face comes in your head and you give them a call and you go, hey, is everything okay with you? And they say, oh no, I've just had a panic attack, or I've just had a massive bill land on my doorstep and I'm feeling really, really anxious. Then this is, you know, validation for you. Okay, right, so you've now been able to take an emotional state or a physical sensation and you're able to match it up with somebody in your life, whether it's somebody you know or somebody who's just close to you in proximity. So this is what you need to start doing. You need to start exploring these things and really getting a handle on what different things feel like, what is your energy, what is other people's energy, what you might be able to do with that. But you need to really, really, really get into what is your own energy. And that's what I was saying before. I think I went off track. I'm going to do a series of meditations where you can start to feel into your physical body and your energetic body. So you're able to see so you're able to really start to learn your own vibrational signature. And this is just the beginning of things for you, because it's like with me, I have a real problem with names. I have problems with names of people. I have problems with names, the days of the week. I have anything that is a label. I have real problems with. Sometimes I have an issue with faces as well. However, I never ever forget an energetic signature. And I can tell anybody by their vibrational signature. So these are things, you know, this is just the very beginning for you, and you can develop this further and further and further. So yeah, send me an email or send me a message with your email address, because what I do is I record it on, I'll either record it on YouTube or SoundCloud, and then I can just send you the link. And it's just easier if I can do it via email. So learning any of your skills is very much about becoming more consciously aware. Okay, so you can't be on autopilot and learn about these things, because you have to constantly be making those connections and constantly bringing yourself back to, is this my energy? No, it isn't. Therefore, I don't need to hold on to it. I don't need to own it. I don't need it to be the theme of the day. I can just let it go, let it move on. And one of the first things that, when I started to develop this skill in myself, or to understand this skill in myself, is with an ex-partner. And I used to see him because we had a son together, so we were still friends, and I would go and see him, and obviously I did a lot of processing when we split up, and I think it was a good couple of years of processing to deal with the split. And I would see him, and I would come away from seeing him just so upset. And you know, so emotionally vulnerable, and I used to get incredibly confused by this, and it's like, why do I feel like this? I am doing so much processing on it, I'm releasing everything, you know, why is it still affecting me so badly? And I can remember talking to a friend about it, and she just turned to me and said, well, is it your emotion or is it his? And it was in that split second that I realised, well, hang on a minute, maybe it isn't my emotion. It's something I've been owning, but is it actually my emotion? And it was from there I then started playing around with this and starting to feel into it. So I know a lot of people have problems, and you're having problems with going into supermarkets. You're becoming quite reclusive because it is painful. You feel raw. You feel vulnerable when you start to become aware of all of these energies, and it isn't very nice. I mean, I used to sometimes have to leave the supermarket with a full trolley because I just couldn't cope anymore with the emotions that were coming through me, passing through me, and I would feel absolutely wretched, and it was like being on this sickening roller coaster. And as I would go down each aisle, you're literally walking in to people's energy clouds. And supermarkets are really awful places to be, because people don't really want to be there. They often have their children with them, or they have their spouses with them. It's not a great place to be. And I could walk down an aisle and be furious and wanting to kill somebody. And, you know, that would then set off a physical reaction in me, because this is the thing, when we have this emotional energy come into us and we own it, our body responds. So if we've got this angry energy coming in and we go, oh, I'm feeling so angry, the body reacts. So it starts flooding your body with adrenaline. You start having those fight or flight. You start, you know, physically tensing up, you know, and this is all a chain reaction. And this is not what you want. So I would absolutely hate going to the supermarket, and I, you know, like so many people, would sit here and think, oh, I've got to be a recluse. Why me? Why is this happening to me? You know, have I got to sacrifice my own life and my own peace of mind? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I now love the supermarket. I love my connection I have with all people. I love the fact that I just know. I know how people are feeling. I know what people need. I know, I just know everything. I know that sounds really big-headed. But just being in the centre of all this, being able to help and hold your hand out and to be there, or just to know when somebody needs space or somebody needs, you know, just a smiley face is fabulous. And I absolutely love being out at the supermarket, and when you can feel, you know, sometimes you feel people's loneliness and you're able to stand there and have a chat with them about, I don't know, what they're cooking for dinner. you're able to let them talk to you. You're able to just be there and be available, and it only need take a moment. So I love supermarkets now because they're an awesome opportunity to connect with random strangers. They're an awesome opportunity to spread some sparkle. You know, a lot of people's supermarkets are their only time out and their only time when they see and interact with other people. And people want to talk. People want to share stuff. And when you have these empath skills, or you've developed them, then you know you can take your time with people, but you can spread a little bit of sparkle and happiness everywhere you go with absolutely no attachment. And you know, it doesn't have to take all day, it can take a couple of minutes. You can send an email, sorry I'm just reading some of these things, to Michelle, so it's Michele at michelleelizabeth.co.uk, or you can send it, just send a message to the Enlightenment Project on here with your email address, because I do want to do some meditations and just teach you a few more techniques. So anyway, I'm digressing once again. So you've got to practice, and you've got to know that this is going to develop into something great, and it is just another sense. So, but in the meantime, okay, you don't want it limiting your life, you don't want it making you a recluse, you don't want it making you seem crazy and really highly strung and really emotional, because a lot of people don't understand it. And at the same time, until you've got a grip on it, don't use it for rushing out and helping people. That comes a little bit later. So when you go to the supermarket, there's lots of different techniques that you can use to initially help you, okay? Because it is this sort of thing that you need to switch it off and on until you understand it that little bit better, and then it's just another skill. So it might seem a little bit weird you know, with it being another sense that I'm saying we need to kind of switch it off a little bit. But it's also the thing with, you know, going back to the people, what you need to do is Google that. People who have been blind from birth, who get their sight back. And there's so many psychological studies and things like that. And you can just have a look, because a lot of the time that's what they would have to do. They would have to go back, because they would have sensory overload. They would have to go back to wearing very, very dark glasses, you know, blackout glasses, because it was just too much for them. And then they would slowly start to learn what it was and interpret what it was that they were seeing. So this is what you're doing as well, okay? So, but don't keep yourself locked away from it all the time. Know that you are going to have to learn how to use this. So, bubble protection. I don't know whether you guys know how to do bubble protection. It's really easy. It's something that you can do all day long. You can be in and out of the bubble, and the bubbles can be used for many, many different things. So don't underestimate the power of the bubble, and don't close yourself off completely. All right, so put yourself in bubbles and out of bubbles. And also maybe play around with these bubbles as well. So it's that thing of, you can start off with, you know, a really, really hard bubble. So you're at the supermarket, nothing is penetrating that bubble. And then you might have, you know, a series of different bubbles. So you can sort of slowly allow the outside world to begin to penetrate. But supermarket shopping is the best thing to start practicing this, because you're in there for a limited amount of time. You are bombarded with so many different energies. I mean, ridiculous amount of energies, and a real big variety of energies as well. So it is really good. So you can go in there and just put yourself in a bubble and think, that really worked, I felt so much better, or that didn't work, and then you need to come back and do your visualizations again. So, but again, bubble protection is just about visualization. So it's just closing your eyes, getting into that space, pulling down the universal energy to become to. If you pull in the universal energy, this gives you the higher vibration, which is what you want, and then it's much, much easier to visualize. And then you just visualize yourself in a bubble, and you know, whatever color comes to you. And I would say initially, just imagine it as a kind of crispy shelled bubble to begin with, because you don't want to feel anything when you're at the supermarket. Initially, you want to be able to go to the supermarket and do your shopping without feeling an emotional wreck by the time you get out and being absolutely through the ringer. I also want to teach you the meditation, which is again about feeling into your own energy. So we start off by you just feel your energy of yourself, feel your own energetic signature, your vibrational signature, and then slowly bring your energy and your awareness out so you're able to pick up of the energy of other people. But you're already doing it all of the time. You know, it's things like when you think of a friend and they are about to call. This again is very, because your empath skills and your seeing and your knowing skills are very closely linked and tied in. So, you know, if you are aware of, you suddenly think that your sister maybe needs you, or your mum, you just think that there's something wrong with mum. You've already got these things, you know, sit and think and ponder on, you know, all the times that you know these things, all the times that you're aware when there's something off with a friend of yours or a member of your family. You know, think of the times as well when, you know, you've been sat next to somebody and you can feel him, you can feel their energy. You know, how many times have you walked into a room and you've felt the energy of the room? Or you've walked in and you're like, they've just been talking about me. Or, you know, when you ask somebody if they're okay because they seems as if they're not, and they say, no, they're fine, but you know that there is something wrong. These are all you having empath skills. And this is, you've just got to bring your awareness to it, that you have these skills, you have these senses, okay? You've just got to learn to develop them, learn to control them, learn to know what is your energy, what is their energy. And, you know, when you're developing this, you're also developing your knowing, you're developing your psychic abilities, because it's all energy. Absolutely everything is energy. So this is just one fragment of it, but it all crosses over and overlaps. So try your bubble protection. I mean, that really is all you need to do, which is your kind of bubble protection. Oh, so we've got bubble protection, we've got knowing your own energy. The other thing is, so you're sitting at home, minding your own business, you've had quite a great day, and then all of a sudden you feel really peed off and cross. And then the next thing, your partner walks in who's had a bad day. So you instantly react to them. Now, what was actually happening there is you were picking up on their energy. They'd had a bad day, they just wanted to get home, they were a bit irritable and stressed. You've picked up on it. You've owned it. And then out of nowhere, you find yourself being a little bit snappy, a little bit short, a little bit bitchy, a little bit of an arse, whatever it is. They then come in with their slightly shitty work energy, and then before you know it, you've had a big argument. You then sit down and you think, how did we get here? How did this argument happen? Okay, so rewind. You're sitting there, minding your own business at home, you've had a great day, you're getting ready for dinner, and all of a sudden you feel this really annoyed, peed off energy. So what you do is you instantly stand there, take a deep breath and ask, is this my energy? Is this me? And you will get your answer, okay? So you'll think, well, no, actually it isn't. There's no reason for me to suddenly feel this annoyed or this peed off. And it's like, right, okay, so it's not mine. So then you take a deep breath and you ask for it to leave your system. So you do visualizations again. Everything in my life is full of visualizations because they're absolutely awesome. So you would stand there, is this my energy? No, it isn't my energy. Okay, well, if it's not my energy, please leave my system. Thank you for making yourself known to me. Thank you for me being aware. So it's like somebody around me or somebody close to me is feeling irritable and peed off. Okay, so you can sit there and then you can make a guess. You can either ask, who is it? Close your eyes. Who is it? Whose energy is this I'm picking up on? And you'll see a face or an image or a name or a knowing. If you don't, Okay, this again is just something that you've got to develop. So you can think, well, okay, and you almost pin it. So you think, right, somebody close to me or around me is feeling really grumpy and short-tempered. You breathe it out of your system, release it, it's not me, it's not me. How do I feel? How do I feel right now? I feel fine. I feel great. Yeah, not my energy. Okay? So you will either then go, yes, I know who it is. It's my sister or my brother or my partner or my child or whoever, and they're about to walk through that door. So the thing is, you release the energy from your system, so you ask for it to go, you thank it for showing you that you're about to have someone really irritable walk through the front door, and you get it out of your system. You can spend a few moments bringing in the light, okay, and I'm going to do, I might have already recorded some meditations about bringing in the light and blasting out other people's energy. So you bring in the light, bring in your energy. It's like bringing yourself back into balance. It's okay, this is my energy, that's their energy, this is my energy. We're going to keep this energy stable, we're going to keep this energy grounded, but we're also going to have compassion and understanding for the person that is then about to walk through the door, because they are having a really bad day, okay, because we just felt it, we just felt their irritation, you know, and for them to have got to that point of irritation, they've probably had a pretty crappy day. The other thing is like, right, so we have to drop our expectations, okay? So we need to drop the expectation that they're going to come through the door grumpy and we're going to have a row, okay? Because that might have what's always happened, because you're reacting to their energy, you're owning their energy, and then you're reacting to it. So one, drop your expectation. You are not going to be reacting to, they are not going to come in and have a row, okay? It takes two people to row, yeah? So a row is not going to happen. This is not what you want. This is not how it's going to play out. So you can take that time again to visualize, and you visualize the energy. You set the energy. You set the energetic foundations to what is going to go on. So you create peaceful energy. You pump this peaceful energy out into your home, so that when they come in, the energies are more receptive to them, rather than you owning their shitty energy, them coming in with shitty energy, because then it explodes. Okay, so you're aware that they're coming in with shitty energy, but that's going to be fine, because this isn't personal to you. It is not your energy, and it is not actually directed at you. It is not your fault. Even if they come in and they're quite short-tempered and grumpy with you, okay, don't take this personally. They've had a really terrible day, right? So you've set the energy so it's a little bit more receptive, so when they walk through the door, this is going to calm them down a little bit, and then do something nice for them. You know, run them a bath. Ask them if they're okay. Give them space if that's what they need. You know, make them a gin and tonic. Whatever it is that you know is going to help them get out of their shitty mood. You know, do they want to talk? Don't they want to talk? You know them. So do something where this is going to be really great, rather than sticking in the mud and thinking, don't you come in here with your shitty attitude towards me, and then cause some kind of irritation. Know that it's going to happen, but also know that you have the skills to be able to smooth the waters. Okay? So that is another thing that you can do. So it is like, is this my energy? And then, and I'm sure I've done another post where we've been talking about setting energy, and oh, I don't know, you can have a look. Anyway, so this is an amazing sense to have. It will make your life so much easier. At the moment, it probably feels really painful and awful and confusing. It's an amazing skill to have, because it really allows you to negotiate the energetic rivers and just interplay of everything that's out there, because you know, when you can sense the energy of other people, you know when to push something, when to back off. You can set the energetic groundwork before they come. You are not meeting them head on with their own energy, okay, because you haven't owned it. So being an empath is fabulous. It's something we all have as an extra sense. We are not learning to be an empath. We are bringing our awareness, our conscious awareness, to what we are feeling, and understanding that just because we feel something within our body doesn't mean it's ours. That we are not distinct, isolated individuals. that we are all passing energy backwards and forwards. The energy you feel isn't restricted to geography. It's not just those people who are close to us. Anybody we've had a link or a connection with, even if it's via Facebook, we can sense into their energy. As many of you know who have had readings from me or have come to me for advice, I'm able to link into your energy really, really quickly, because there is no real sort of time and space. So that is the other thing. It's that thing is, even if you're sitting here on your own and you get this awful feeling within inside of you, but you don't think it's yours, just because there's nobody else sat in the room with you doesn't mean that it's your energy, okay? Because you can be picking it up from anybody who you've got a connection or a link with. So I think for now, hang on a minute, I just want to read. Oh, hang on, I might be able to read that one here. So it's an amazing skill set to have. It's an amazing, just think of it as another sense. Really get your head around that. And also, you know, do look at those studies. I might see if I can find one and post it up, because I know when I was doing my psychology degree, we looked into this quite deeply. And see how people who are not born with sight but have their sight restored, how they struggle. Because this is exactly the same as what's happening with you guys. You are uncovering a sense that you've always had, but you've never been able to use. So it's confusing, it's painful, it's absolutely awful. I mean, I can remember when I first had mine. I mean, I just didn't know what was wrong with me. And I also wasted a huge amount of time processing issues that were not mine. And you don't want to do that, right? Hi, okay. Oh, that's brilliant, Nikki. Right, so yeah, I will send you some more stuff, and please feel free to send me any messages. You can comment and I will reply on the timeline. If you don't want to do that, you can send me a private message and I will reply. Because, you know, this is something that we have... Oh, sorry, I just get distracted there. You know, this is an amazing life. We have some amazing skills, and, you know, it's just a lot of it has been kept a little bit hidden from us because of the duality paradigm that we live in. So, but we are moving into unity. We are kind of 2/3 of the way there. So that's why a lot more people are developing a lot more skills. So yeah, it's an amazing sense to have. It really does help, and it just makes your life so much easier. All right, take care, everybody, and send me those messages, and I'll get an email out to you when I will probably do the three meditations. I have to make notes because I'm a little bit terrible at forgetting. All right, take care, everyone. Lots of love and laughter. Bye-bye.